Are you hard on yourself? Do you beat yourself up a lot, more than you probably should? Do you not feel good enough sometimes? Do you compare yourself to other people and think that they're better than you? If so, then this show is for you. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Her Side, His Side. I'm Dr. Carol. And what we're going to talk about in this episode is how to love yourself. Now, you know what? That's what we all need. The whole world needs more love, but you need more love. You need to give yourself more love. And unfortunately, I've been teaching this stuff for a very long time, and there are too many people in the world who do not love themselves. So we are going to go through some steps now that you can take so you can love yourself, even if you still have some pretty good self-esteem. We could always improve and always love ourselves more. Now, before we get started, I want to make a distinction between loving yourself and being egotistical. Now, there's a huge difference. I've known people who say, oh, loving yourself is just, you're full of yourself and you think you're better than other people. And that's not what I'm talking about here, because people who go around saying they're better than other people, thinking they're better than other people, trying to show off in some way, those are the people who really don't love themselves. Because if they really did love themselves, they wouldn't have to do that. Because people who truly love themselves are very humble, and they go around just accidentally showing people what love is just because they love themselves. Like, people will look to other people, the people who genuinely love themselves, and think, wow, they're awesome. I want to be like them. They're like a role model for other people. So I'm not talking about egotistical, quote unquote, love, because that's not really love. That is fear. So there's a very big difference. So I just want to make that clear, that when I say loving yourself, I mean truly, in a very humble way, loving yourself. So let's go on. And first of all, just, write down all of your good qualities. You have good qualities. Everybody has good qualities. But the problem is, we live in such a negative world. You turn on the news, there's nothing good. Social media, there's so much negativity, and there's so many people complaining or comparing themselves to other people. We sometimes lose sight of why we are good people, what is good about ourselves, because every single person, maybe not a mass murderer or serial killer, but most people in the world have really good qualities, and that means you do too. So instead of focusing on the things you don't like about yourself, which is probably a lot, we all have things we don't like about ourselves, focus on what you do like about yourself. And you might not even have taken a whole lot of time to think about what you like about yourself, because we've spent most of our lives being taught what's wrong with ourselves, not what is good about ourselves. Even if you have the perfect parents who tell you how great you are growing up, there's still other people we compare ourselves to, and we just, we're a product of our society, and our society, unfortunately, is pretty negative. So what is it about yourself that you love? Are you funny, intelligent, kind-hearted? Any of these, accomplished and disciplined, accountable, inspiring, any of these words will probably apply to you, or at least some of them will. So, if you're having a hard time finding things within yourself that you like, then, just ask some friends, ask some loved ones, like, what do you like about me? Not in an egotistical way, but if you need help, have them help you. And then you'll say, wow, I didn't know you thought I was so great. If they think you're great, there's a reason. It's probably because you are great. So, focus on your good qualities. So write them all down. And once you have them written down, you need to keep reminding yourself of it. Okay? So that's just the first step. The next step is monitoring your self-talk. Now, we have like 50,000 thoughts or so that go through our mind every single day. Think about that. 50,000 thoughts that go through our minds every single day. So imagine just how many, or what percentage of those are negative. Probably a lot, even if it's just like oh, I don't make enough money, or oh, it's raining again today. I mean, it doesn't even have to be about ourselves, but we have a lot of negative thoughts. But of those negative thoughts, probably a lot of them are about ourselves. Now, I was lucky enough to grow up in a family who we were pretty positive and optimistic, and my parents were very loving, and they gave me and my sisters, very good self-esteem. Not perfect. Nobody has perfect self-esteem, but I was just lucky enough to grow up with parents who gave me positive messages about myself. Not that I don't have negative messages about myself. Also, that came with time. It's just normal. But, all of this is to say that even though I pretty much have decent self-esteem, I catch myself a lot saying some negative things about myself. There was a time when my sister and I were like buddying up and trying to, there's this thing called law of attraction, trying to work on our goals and everything. And we're both positive people, but we would catch each other on the phone saying, well, what are the chances that that'll happen? Or I'm not so sure I can do that. And so we'd be like, hey, stop it. And genuinely, we wouldn't even know that we said that. Like, she would catch me saying, oh, I'm not sure if I can actually do that. She's like, stop it. Yes, you can. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know I said it. So if you can't monitor your own self-talk, maybe have a friend point it out to you, keep a journal. Once you catch yourself saying these negative things, you need to know what they are so you can get rid of them, so keeping a journal of these thoughts and then like turning them into positives, maybe you don't like your legs. You think they're too chubby. Well, you know what? Who says that they're chubby? I know we live in a world where skinny is quote unquote better, but is it really? No, it's not necessarily better. It could be healthier, but might not be healthier. There are a lot of unhealthy skinny people in the world. So, just write down your negative self-talk so you're aware of it, so you can turn it into a positive, because really our brains are computers, and I'll get to that a little bit later. Our brains, our subconscious mind, all these messages we have throughout our whole life just keep playing over and over and over in our subconscious mind. And if most of them are negative, and if most of them are negative about you, yourself, then unless you catch yourself, you're never going to change it. It's not easy to change your self-esteem and your self-love, but it is possible. It does take a little bit of work, but it's definitely worth it, as you will find out when you do it. Now, you also want to just associate with positive people. Now, maybe easier said than done. Maybe a lot of the people in your family or your friends tend to be negative. You can't change them, but maybe just try to associate with some new people, meet some new people, or only associate with the people in your life now that are more positive. Because I could go on and on about this, but research really has shown that our emotions and our thoughts can be measured. And so our negative thoughts vibrate very slowly, and they make us feel bad. Like say, when you pay your bills and you don't have enough money to pay your bills, well, you feel bad, right? You have a pit in your stomach kind of feeling, and that is a bad emotion, and it physically affects you. But it not only physically affects you, it affects other people around you. So if you're around negative people who put out that negative energy to you, it's just going to bring you down, and vice versa. So I call them energy vampires. I've known a few people where like I'll be around them, spend a few hours with them, and all they do is complain about their life. And a lot of people, just by the nature of my work, I teach about relationships and positive thinking and all that stuff. And so they almost like want me to teach them. And so they end up really just complaining to me instead of actually having me help them. Like, I want to help them, but they just kind of go on and on. And so when I'm done talking to them, I feel like I'm just drained. That's why I call them an energy vampire. Like, they suck all of the positive, good energy out of you. You probably know people like that. And so when I'm done with these people, I just like want to shake off all the bad, negative energy. But that's not helping you. It's not helping you love yourself and stay in a positive mindset. So try to associate with positive people as much as you can and have them hopefully build you up and have you build them up, So that's the only way you're really going to truly sustain, love for yourself. Forgiving yourself. Now, some of us are harder on ourselves than others. Nobody's perfect, not even me. That's a joke. Um, no, I mean, I try my hardest to be the best person I can. I've made mistakes too. We've all made mistakes. We all have things that we've done that we regret. And it might have hurt yourself, it might have hurt other people. But if you are still beating yourself up over it, I mean, it could have happened when you're 10 years old or younger, or, it could have been yesterday, but, maybe it was a really long time ago and you're still beating yourself up over it. Stop. I love this quote from Maya Angelou: when you know better, you do better. And, when we're younger, a lot of us don't know better. We're just kind of like flying by the seat of our pants, and, we don't think about the consequences of our actions, which is very important, by the way. But that's another that's another episode probably. But it's okay. When you know better, you do better. So forgive yourself for anything that you've done. You know, Even if you've done it to someone else and you haven't seen them for 20 years, you're never going to get their forgiveness, but they might have even forgotten about what you did or didn't do or whatever it might be. They might have even forgotten, but you haven't. So, forgive yourself. You can't take a time machine back and change it. You just can't. Maybe in 500 years we'll have a time machine, but we don't have them now. So you can't change it. So just forgive yourself. Look back on the past. Look at the things you've done wrong or the things you didn't do that you should have done. It's important to examine the past, but to learn from the past. Because if you're just beating yourself up from the past, like that just does no good. It just breaks down your self-esteem and your self-love even more. So look at the past, examine the past, and learn from what you did or didn't do. Learn from your mistakes. That's where a lot of people don't get it right. They just keep repeating the same mistakes over and over because they just never really examined what they did, because they don't want to, because it's too painful. And that's okay. Just forgive yourself, learn from it, and do better. Move on. Okay? It doesn't mean that it was a great thing you did, but forgive yourself and do it better next time. You also need to avoid comparisons with other people. Now, that's easier said than done. I know that. Like, I grew up with two older sisters, and they were both very skinny naturally. And I was never overweight, but I was just kind of an average weight person. And so I grew up constantly comparing my body to my sister's bodies, where, they were little teeny tiny skinny things and I was just sort of average. So in my mind, I was fat. When looking back, I look like I wasn't even close to being fat or even overweight, but I felt like it because I was comparing myself to them, which, and on some level it was okay, because at least it made me sort of cognizant of, I need to eat well, I need to not get too overweight, and need to be healthy maybe, but it really did not do well for my body image for most of my whole life. And I still struggle with it. They're still skinny and I'm still average, which, I've learned over the years to really accept my body type and love my body type, is because, there's nothing I can do. I can't grow taller. Yeah, I can lose some weight, but even then, I have a certain body type, and me being that skinny probably wouldn't be so good for my body type. But the point is, that's just one little area. That's the thing that I struggled with the most, just body image. But, we all compare ourselves to, whether it's your body, your face, your money, your size of your house, your career, how great of a marriage you have, how accomplished your kids are. I mean, you name it, the list goes on that people compare themselves to other people for. And social media does not do us any good at all, because I love to say that, we call it like Facebook, but I like to think of it as fake book, because not everybody is their real genuine self on Facebook or any social media. So, don't believe everything you see on social media. People exaggerate. They want everybody to believe that their life is better than it really is. So stop comparing yourself to people on social media or in real life. So like, look at these people, these pictures here, okay? So the people in the middle are like more normal people. That's what most normal, average people look like. But the people on the ends are the people that we see in the media, right? Or the people on social media who have naturally beautiful bodies, and they're at the beach and they're flaunting it off, and you're like, I don't even want to get into a bathing suit, let alone take a picture of myself in a bathing suit. So, stop comparing yourself to people that you think are better than you, because there really is no better or worse. We just think there's a better or worse. But if you think that they're better, you're going to beat yourself up over it. So stop comparing yourself to anyone, number one, but especially to people that you think have it better than you, because you know what? I've lived long enough to realize that the people who seemingly have this perfect life, I don't care if they're supermodels, billionaires, we look at them and we're like, oh my gosh, they have everything I want, they have. They must be the happiest person on earth. No, some of them are the most miserable people. The richest people, the most beautiful people. Like, I've known women who were gorgeous but had really low self-esteem, and I'm like, why? You're totally hot. Why do you have low self-esteem? But I've also known women who were more average looking, like say this lady here, but had really good self-esteem. And you know what? Like, I've talked to a lot of guys, I teach gender communication. A lot of them say they'd much rather be with a woman who's a little bit more average looking than a hot supermodel, if the average looking person loves herself, because she gives off this happy vibe. And someone who's seemingly perfect on the outside, if they don't love themselves, they give off more of a negative, insecure vibe. And a lot of people don't like that. They might not even know it consciously, but they don't. So if you have to compare yourself, though, maybe compare yourself to people that you think have it worse off than you. Like, for instance, like most people in the world, and this is a true statistic, most people in the world live on less than $750 a year. Okay, so if you are, say an American who has a roof over your head and food on the table and family to love, and you make more than $750 a year, you are one of the lucky ones in the world, because half of the people in the world don't have that. But yet, if you're constantly looking at what you don't have and how other people have more than you have, you're not looking at what you're grateful for. So focus on what you are grateful for, not what you don't have. So just stop comparing yourself to other people. You also want to maybe write some positive affirmations. So going back to what I just said a few slides ago about writing down your good qualities, turn those into affirmations, like these little sticky notes. I'm smart, I'm a good listener, I'm a hard worker, I can do hard things, I believe in myself, I love myself, I have many talents, I take good care of myself, I'm a good friend. Anything that is positive, you need to put them on little sticky notes, put them all over your house. You don't even have to, maybe you live with a whole bunch of people and you don't really want them all over your house. Maybe just in your bathroom or in your car, or, just little reminders, which are not really little reminders, they're big reminders of how you should be loving yourself. So it's easy to forget when it's not right in your face. I don't care if you have to put 5 or 10 sticky notes on your mirror in the bathroom, but they're there and you see them. Even if you don't directly look at them, your subconscious mind is soaking it in. And that is so important. So repeat them to yourself as often as possible so you can remember all of your good qualities, instead of having your negative brain kind of chime in all the time. You're trying to train your brain to be more positive. So, think about doing that so you can constantly remind yourself about why you are a great person. Now, not everybody can afford therapy. And unfortunately, a lot of people have a negative view of therapy. They think it's weak to go to therapy, that there's something wrong with them, and they don't want to tell people that they're going to therapy. I think it's the opposite. I think it takes a lot of strength to go seek therapy, because you know what? It takes a big person to admit, hey, I can use some help. I personally believe everybody can really benefit from therapy. I don't care how much you love yourself, how great your life is, you can always benefit from it. So, you know, if you can, and if you have the means to seek some therapy, by all means, it cannot hurt. If you don't have the means to do it, try to find a good friend. You know, it's always easier to do this kind of stuff, to improve yourself with other people, because when you do it on your own, sometimes you just end up beating yourself up. So it takes sometimes other people to point out the great things about ourselves, and to point out and to keep us on track for, you know, really not giving up. You know, it's easy to start stuff, right? Anyone who's ever tried to lose weight or go to the gym, like, it's easy to start off, you know, like almost everybody's New Year's resolution is to lose weight, right? And so everybody in the beginning of January is like filling up the gym, but you know, by like February, March, like nobody's there anymore because they just went back to their old habits. So, you know, having a friend, an accountability partner at very least, really, really helps. So find a friend if you can. Try to work on both of your self-esteem and loving yourself more. Visualization. Now, a lot of people might think this is really woo-woo and weird, but I promise you, it's not. I could do whole hours of lectures on this too, but now the subconscious mind is so powerful that it is actually in the driver's seat. We like to think our conscious mind is in the driver's seat. Like, you know, I do what I do because I decided to do what I do. Yeah, but why did you decide to do what you did? That's the question. And the why behind your conscious decision is usually your subconscious mind and your subconscious beliefs. And the subconscious mind is really driving your whole life, and you don't even know it. And the good thing about your subconscious mind is that it doesn't know the difference between reality and fantasy. And this is proven through research. And I could cite many studies that prove this, but I'll just give you one. So this has nothing to do with self-esteem, but it does prove the power of visualization in the subconscious mind, because actually a lot of athletes use visualization to improve their performance. A lot of professional athletes, a lot of Olympic athletes use it because they just visualize and see, you know, let's say you're a basketball player, you visualize it and you see yourself making all those baskets and scoring all those points, and it sounds really cheesy. I'm like, well, I'm just thinking about it, so how can that help? Well, your subconscious mind sees these images and they think it thinks it's reality. So here's a study I'm going to tell you about. Okay, so it does involve basketball. They took a whole bunch of people with the same exact skill level in basketball. So no one was really better or worse than any other one. And so they divided them into 3 groups. One group, they said, you know, practice basketball as much as you can. You know, like seriously, is in all your free time, just like do it as much as you can, get as good as you can. And then another group, they're like, don't even think about basketball, don't touch a basketball, just go around your normal life and, you know, pretend you're not even in the study, don't even think about basketball, let alone play it. And then the third group, they said, we don't want you to actually touch a basketball or play basketball, but we want you to visualize playing basketball as much as you possibly can every single day. So, you know, close your eyes and pretend like you're there on the court and doing it. And so after a while, like a month or 2 or however long it was, they came back and then they measured their skills again. Well, of course, the people who actually practiced basketball got better. That makes sense, right? The people who didn't practice, didn't think about it, didn't get better. Makes sense. In fact, they might have even been worse. But the people who didn't touch the basketball, didn't play basketball, they just thought and visualized doing basketball, they were almost just as good as the people who actually practiced the basketball. So they measured their skill level again, and they were just as good. So how can that be? They never even touched a basketball, right? Well, the reason being is because that group tricked their subconscious mind into thinking that they were actually playing basketball when they really weren't. I know it sounds crazy and woo, but there are tons of studies similar to that actually prove the power of the subconscious mind and visualization. So how does this relate to loving yourself? Well, if you can trick your subconscious mind into thinking that you're playing basketball and getting better at basketball, you can trick your subconscious mind into thinking that you're an awesome person and that you love yourself and that you are proud of yourself. So you can visualize yourself being happy and loving yourself. So, like I said, it might sound a little cheesy, but it definitely works. So, I'll probably be talking about that more in future episodes, but power of visualization is amazing. And hypnosis. Again, another really woo kind of, out there sort of thing that most people think of when they think of hypnosis. I think most people, when they hear the word hypnosis, is they think of, oh, I'm going to make you cluck like a chicken and act like a fool in front of an audience, right? Well, a lot of that is staged and a lot of it's not real, because really studies have shown that even when you are hypnotized, no one can, like the hypnotist cannot make you do anything that you wouldn't normally do. So like if I was hypnotized and somebody said, okay, now go shoot and kill someone, I wouldn't do that in normal life. So I wouldn't do it, So hypnosis is not scary or dangerous. It's not like we don't call it hypnosis, but it really is hypnosis. Like every time we fall asleep at night, our brain waves slow down. So, beta, I think, is, like full waking consciousness, but, like delta is like the deep sleep. And then like just below beta is like alpha, which is alpha to theta is like where your brain waves are in hypnosis. So you're not fully awake, but you're not fully asleep. So that's all it is, really. We're in an alpha state, which is a light hypnosis, when we're watching TV or when we're driving home at night, and those little like dotted lines flash and we go into a light altered state of consciousness. So it's nothing weird. It's nothing strange. We go in and out of it all the time, every day. It's actually normal. The only difference with hypnosis is that you are purposely putting yourself into an altered state, like purposely slowing down your brain waves. So why would you want to do that, and how can that help you love yourself? Well, like I said, your subconscious mind is programmed your whole life. So like when we're born, our subconscious mind and our conscious mind are basically blank, just like a blank computer that hasn't been programmed yet. That's your subconscious mind. And so you grow up and your parents say you're a good person or a bad person, or you're lazy or you're smart, or whatever messages you get. And then messages you give to yourself and messages your peers give to you in the media, and all of this builds up, right? So your subconscious mind is just filled with all these beliefs about the world and about yourself. So in order to reprogram that, when we are in our conscious mind, the beta level, we are not susceptible to different messages. We need to slow our brain waves down. And when we do, we access our subconscious mind. And it's only then that we really can reprogram our subconscious mind. And then once we do that, then we'll truly start to live what our beliefs are. Because right now we're all living what our subconscious beliefs are, whether we know it or not, whether we want to admit it or not, it's just true. So in order to have a lot of really significant change in your life, including loving yourself, you have to reprogram your subconscious mind. And you're like, okay, that's great, Carol. Well, how do I do that? Well, you don't need to pay a ton of money to a hypnotist. You can. I mean, I'm actually a trained hypnotherapist myself. I've helped a lot of people with this. But there are a lot of programs, like MP3s out there where you can download and you can play it at night when you're falling asleep. I love myself, I'm great, whatever it might be. You can even do your own. You could make your own suggestions. But nonetheless, there are lots of ways you can do this. And it really is powerful and it's really effective. So again, sounds really kind of woo-woo and weird, but trust me, it's not, and it's very effective. All right, well, that is it for this episode. If you've watched me before, you know I also do personal coaching, mostly in relationships and dating. But if you ever want to reach out to me for anything, I'd be happy to talk to you. You can find me at drcarolmorgan.com. That's where I have my coaching. I also have a website called Her Side, His Side, same name as the show, giving lots of dating and relationship advice and personal growth and all that good stuff. So subscribe to my YouTube channel if you can, if you want to. I would love to have you along. And like I said, I do primarily relationships and dating advice, but I also do motivation, self-love, just like this one, self-improvement. So anything to make your life better, make your relationships better, that's what I do. So stick with me, please, and subscribe, and can't wait to do more episodes for you guys. And, until then, I just wish you guys so much love and peace and joy. I love you all. I appreciate you all. And until next time, peace out.